All right. So like realistically, if you guys had to seriously test yourself here and you were to sit down at a hot dog eating contest, how many dogs do you think you're taking down? Like
Oof.
Like,
like for real,
I,
like you no
so it's no condiments. It's just dog, bread,
straight
and
dog,
some
they got the
water.
water you got the water cup on the side, kind of like the beer pong water cup.
And we're talking 60 seconds.
We'll have to how long typically is
I
is
have
the
no idea.
Nathan's hot dog eating contest,
I
you
think they
know?
get like 10 minutes
Yeah, I was
to
just saying
do the whole
they get a good
thing.
amount of time. No, I'm giving you
Ah,
the full amount of time. I'm honestly curious, like how much you could take down, you know?
Are these like
I th-
regular hot dogs or are they like, Costco dogs? Because that,
Uh,
that
the
makes a difference.
they're regular hot dogs. They're not Costco dogs. 'Cause if you've seen them, they're like almost like it almost seems like old Joey Chisel could just like throw it down in one gulp. You know what I mean? He can just eat like a bite per dog. Like he makes it like what should be like a pig in a blanket. Like he eats it like it's a pig in a blanket. They're not that size. They're not that small,
Hmm.
but he does that. So I'm
we
gonna,
talking all beef.
yeah, probably, most likely.
All beef dogs. Okay.
Um, how long is the
I'm getting 20
Nathan's?
down in probably the first minute, I'd say, and then
Whoa.
and then I'm probably getting to like 30 by minute 7, and they're all coming back up.
Okay, so 10 minutes and 76 dogs is the record. Okay. I think if I really challenge myself, and I'm just being honest here, I think I'm really going to feel it in that 10 to 15 range. I don't know how much I'm making it past 20. Now, I say this to someone who used to weigh 400 pounds, who, can put food down with the best of them, but it's just like, have you seen Chestnut's training regiment?
I mean,
It's a lot
he's
of
always
beer.
eating. Like it's ridiculous. You know what?
I'm a goddamn American icon.
That's Joey Chestnut right there.
You know who else is a goddamn American icon? Captain America beep.
Oof, roll it.
Segway. Welcome back to another episode of Lauer After Hours presents Cinemeh. This is a podcast series where we watch movies that are rated 69% on Rotten Tomatoes or 6.9 stars on IMDb, and we establish if it's worth it. I am at Beep Count, your host tonight, joined by Paddy in the OHIO, and I've got Pal out in Southern California. What's going on, boys?
Ayo. So over under 6.9 dogs for the chat here.
Bro, I'm getting like 5. That's
Really?
yeah. I cannot. I can't do it.
I don't think I'll break a sweat to 12. Like
Yeah,
a sweat.
Well, and plus I'm a little, uppity. I have to have mustard, gotta have relish, gotta have some onions on there. Yeah. I'm getting 5 tops.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah, I know I jokingly said I'm getting 20 down in the first minute, but I think I legitimately get up to about 20, and then probably they all come back up. If I get any more past that, if we're talking dog and bun, maybe 20 together at the, at tops, I'd say. Might have to do like a what was his name? Kobayashi, who would like just dunk the bread in the water.
I wonder if Captain America, like, I wonder if it'd be like the situation in which he can't get drunk. He could just keep taking down dog after dog after dog after dog after dog after dog
I
after dog. You know what I
I
mean?
bet he could. He's got
And then
that dog in him.
you're gonna see this look come across his face where it's just like, not even in this can I like indulge in gluttony. All right, he's just gonna be all sad there, but we'll get to that. All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
On
That
this on this episode, we have the 2011 action adventure sci-fi Captain America: The First Avenger. This movie is rated 80% on Rotten Tomatoes from 276 critic ratings, 75% from over 250,000 audience ratings, and the magic 6.9 stars on IMDb from almost 1 million user ratings. 950,000 plus is what I got here. This movie is directed by Joe Johnston. You know him from Jumanji, the 1995 one, The Rocketeer, October Sky, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's a time machine right there. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This movie also stars Chris Evans as Steve Rogers / Captain America. You know him from all of the Avengers out there, Knives Out, Shadowpiercer, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. We've also got Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. You know her from Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, Christopher Robin, and Cinderella. We've also got Sebastian Stan as James Bucky Barnes. You know him from Thunderbolts, The Winter Soldier, A Different Man, and I, Tonya. It's also got Tommy Lee Jones as Colonel Chester Phillips. You know him from The Fugitive, No Country for Old Men, Men in Black, and JFK. We've also got Hugo Weaving as Johann Schmidt, a.k.a. Red Skull. You know him from Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit, V for Vendetta, and The Matrix. This movie has a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes, or 124 minutes Canadian. This budget was $140 million. It got $176.7 million domestically and over $370.6 million worldwide. This movie is rated PG-13 for intense sequences of sci-fi violence and action. And at the time of recording, it is currently available on Disney+. Got some taglines here. I think we actually finally have two good ones. Finally.
All right.
Okay.
Are we going to revisit our rule from last week? Is it a situation in which if we strike out on taglines, it's just okay, sidelines?
Yes. Yeah. If
Okay.
if the taglines don't, make it up to snuff, then we can have the liberty of making our own. But I think we actually have a couple of good ones here.
Hit us.
Well, the first one is a little on the nose. The First Avenger.
Yeah, but like if you've never read the comics, I feel like this was a pretty good introduction to like who the Avengers were, just as somebody who was 11 when this movie came out.
Oh, geez.
11?
I was 19.
It's 2011. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say that you have the context already because a few of the movies have come out and you're anticipating the Avengers already coming out because they've been teasing it so much with these movies
Sure.
that it works, but I don't know. I think they could have simply had the movie titled Captain America and then had that be the tagline. Like the fact that it's in the title and then having it be the tagline, I don't know. It's like when a band has like a self-titled album. It's like, no, come on. Give me a name of an album. Like just name it.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I can kind of see where having it in the title and then also being the tagline could be a little bit, but I mean,
It's not bad. It's not bad. Sorry.
it's a lot better than everything else we've seen before.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No, I'm with you. I like it.
Hands down.
I'm just like saying if anything, I'm just nitpicky about that. But like that's the only thing I have an issue with.
And this one, I think, is the best one that we have ever seen. When Patriots become heroes.
Oh yeah. There that's
Now we're cooking. We're cooking.
Yes. Absolutely.
Time to pay Hydra the red, white, and dues.
I'll take it. All right, here is the synopsis for Captain America, the First Avenger. During World War II, undersized but determined Steve Rogers volunteers for a secret military experiment that transforms him into Captain America. After initially being used as a propaganda tool, Steve takes matters into his own hands and joins the fight against Hydra, a Nazi-backed organization led by the mysterious Red Skull. Alongside Peggy Carter, Bucky Barnes, and the Howling Commandos, Captain America battles to stop a powerful new weapon from changing the course of history while discovering what it truly means to be a hero. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not terrible.
it isn't bad. Yeah, I feel like the movie's better than it than what it describes it as.
Oh, sure.
You know,
I agree. I agree, but it also like it is a synopsis, so it doesn't necessarily need to have everything in the movie, right? Like without giving everything away, like who the villain is or anything like that. I think
it,
it's pretty solid.
it's
Yeah.
not like Step Brothers where you're like, oh, okay, this seems like it's gonna be
Yeah.
kind of funny, and then it's just like Nazi, the KKK, boats and hoes, dark shit, ketchup farts. Also,
Wait,
America though. Those things are goddamn American icons, beep.
Ketchup farts.
I'm a goddamn American icon.
gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do actually have a daisy chain. We have an American relic that was found in a ship that was surrounded by ice. Because in
Good
National
enough
Treasure,
for
we had the Meerschaum pipe that was on the Charlotte that was trapped in ice. And we have Captain America who was trapped in ice. Yeah. So I think there's the daisy chain there.
there's our AO daisy chain.
Ayo,
AO.
gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
So, pal, I'm going to start the questions with you since this was your selection here. Does this movie still work in 2026, or does it feel only like an early MCU relic?
Well, you know, I come from an America beep when fascism and hating Nazis meant something, right? In Red Skull and Hydra, they're Nazis, but like Nazi plus, right? They're like, no, 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 no. We want to be even worse than Hitler, you know? We have a whole different, evil alien vision, which kind of works because historically with conspiracy theories and Hitler, right? There's all these conspiracy theories that like a UFO, he had like this, alien spaceship that took him to the North Pole. There's a whole bunch of different things. But you know, there's just I I feel like if it was today, there'd be people finding ways to criticize it, right? Like, what do they mean by this? What message are they trying to send with this? Like, oh, this is just some liberal woke bullshit. And when it's just like, no, this is what like combating World War II and our enemies in World War II and Nazis and whatnot was all about. And that's why it worked because it was like up until that point, up until 2011, it was just like, yeah, we were all kind of objectively in agreement to that, where we're not
Yeah.
necessarily today. That being said, I do think that, like all of our historic choices that we've seen and had, which is also the daisy chain here too, is that, when you suspend disbelief and you just enjoy it, you go for a heck of a ride. It's like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer,
Mm.
right? Do I
Does that
really
qualify?
think, you know what?
There's no way it can.
I really hope it does
There's
because
no. Please don't
I
tell
have
me
that on
that.
Blu-ray.
I'm on it.
Okay. That you can just yeah
Ah,
me right now. All right. Yeah, me all the way to hell. Okay. And I'll say hello to Art Briles. Why don't I? Um, no, but that's kind of how I feel. Right? Where it's just like something like we used to be able to enjoy simple things where we could suspend disbelief and go watch something without it like being made extremely political. But that's where we are today. And anytime you call out any fascists, it's when they get really, really sensitive, Bunch of babies. But
Zagaki.
Patty, what say you?
I think it does still work, especially with taking into consideration everything that is actually going on in the world with the rise of popularity on the far right now, especially across the world. I think that it still plays well, and at the end of the day, it's always still kind of fun to watch a movie where there's Americans killing a bunch of Nazis or worse than Nazis, super Nazis, as Pat was saying. B, did you find out if Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer qualifies or not?
Sadly, it does not. It's a
Thank God.
5.9 on IMDb,
Whew.
34 and 50, respectively,
Whoa,
on Rotten Tomatoes.
that is insane.
Whew.
I
Yeah.
cannot believe that.
That was too close.
I got some work to do.
We got to vote it up. Get
Yep.
all of get the Cinemeh Army on it. Upvote it on IMDb so at least it gets up to that 5 or that from 5.9 up to 6.9. Please and thank you.
this goes out to AO if you're still listening, AO. Um, if you happen to like the Fast and the Furious, try to vote that up. Okay, we're trying to get it to 6.9. Right now it's at 6.8. All right. So, and the 25th anniversary of it. So just consider that AO and AO adjacent audience. Or
Hey
not,
yo,
or fans of us. Andy, I hope you're still listening to this. If they get
yeah,
this in
shout out
Alaska.
Andy. I don't think they have internet there.
Mm. They have,
It's
they have ships buried in the snow with ancient relics.
see
There's
that
your
that's
internet.
exactly what I'm talking about. Good job,
Mm-hmm.
Andy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have secret bunkers underground too, in the
Yes,
mountains.
they do. Is
So,
Steve Rogers interesting before he gets the serum?
God no, he sucks so much.
good old CGI Roberts. Right.
I hated it so
Yeah,
much. I hated
Steve.
that CGI head so much. That
Yeah.
tiny ass neck they gave him.
Yeah, because
It
it just
was
pissed
really
it,
funny though.
it it almost in a way feels insulting, you know?
Yeah,
Because you know what Chris Evans actually looks like. And then you're just like, why this doesn't make me feel any better. Because then they're gonna give him this serum to make him look what he actually already is. You know? Like, and you could clearly tell that even though he looked good, Steve Rogers, when you talk about if we want to do some comparing and contrasting, right? Like they would do in a typical book club, okay? Look at the Hugh Jackman diet, okay? And what he's willing to put his body through going into shirtless scenes, as opposed to Steve Rogers, okay? And Chris Evans. All right? Body looked good, okay, but it wasn't cut. It wasn't ripped. Okay? You could just tell, like, all right, this is upkeep. This isn't like, okay, I'm getting ready to go through like an upgrade for a movie type of thing. This is what I look like all the time. You guys feel me on that?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
shout out to Leander Deeney who played the body double when he was Skinny Steve.
What's the
Shout out
face
to
look like
Skinny
on that
Steve.
guy? What do you look like, CGI Steve?
I mean, he looks exactly like you think he would. Leander Deeney. Good for you. Good for you getting in there.
Shout out to Leanders.
Leander in it.
Salute.
Does Chris Robbins does Chris Evans perfectly embody Captain America, or has the character become bigger than the actual actor itself?
Okay, well, yes, he doesn't embody it. Okay, that is Captain America. I think that's why people have had issue with, the new Cap trying to kind of revive him and everything. And it's just because he does such a good job playing him. Okay. And I was a person who was a huge critic of Chris Evans playing him because I'm not a big fan of when you have actors play one superhero and then another. Okay. So the fact that he was already in the Fantastic Four, I was like, okay, he had his chance. And to his credit, I thought he was the best part of those Fantastic Four movies.
I
I thought he
also
was
loved him in
excellent.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Did I say Ryan Reynolds?
No. Chris Evans, he reprised his role from the Fantastic Four
Okay,
in that
okay,
movie
okay.
for a brief moment.
You know what? I haven't seen that one.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's really good. You
All
should
right,
watch
just
it. You
just
should watch it a whole
throwing
bunch.
just throwing that out there. Okay. Um, but yeah, I'm done on my point there.
What was the question, Pete?
Does Chris Evans perfectly embody the Captain America, or has the character become bigger than the actor itself?
I feel like he kind of embodied who like was supposed to play this version of Captain America, if that makes sense. Like, and there's just several different versions throughout the comics, just like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman, and so there's multiple different ways that you can tell the story. So I think that this story in particularly, Chris Evans really does at least do it justice, no pun intended, but does I think embody this version of Captain America. I don't think it's necessarily just him. I do think it could be somebody else, like, but it would tough shoes to fill. I think after this,
Real quick, I'll also like add in. I like that he's not like over patriotic, right? I like the character development with him. I like the fact that he's like constantly thinking like about like, hey, I for a long time I had all these things that people were telling me that was wrong with me, and it's a shame that I had to go through this whole process just like, you know, serve my country and help my friends and do all these things. And he's very introspective as a character too. And I think that's where like Chris Evans really does a good job of like making him like a very solid, overall, like just really well-rounded character within the Avenger universe. Okay, because he's constantly asking himself these different questions through even later on when he's revived and he comes back in later movies and he's in the future and he kind of has to think about the fact that okay, I'm alive at a different time where all my loved ones aren't. Right? The girl that I loved is still alive today, but she's a lot older. And it's just always a really I think that's what embodies it. Okay, because it's like even though he has all these special qualities that we would all want, he's American just like the rest of us, where he has these flaws, he has these issues, he has these wants, he has these needs. He feels alone, and so many people can relate to that.
Well put. Does the World War II backdrop make this movie stand out from the rest of the MCU? Patty, how say you?
Yeah, it does because of how much modern like the the machines that they try to use, like especially villains like Hydra and things like that. Like they pulled up in like a Batmobile type submarine in World War II, like in like 1942. Like and it just didn't make sense. It just didn't fit for the time or place, and nor like the even the quote unquote technology that they were in possession of, like even throughout the rest of the movie. Like yeah, they have a giant spy plane that can fly really high, and they have these special weapons, but that took time to develop. And it seemed like that was like the submarine scene seemed like it was a little bit more of a like it just out of place for the time. So I think because of how like magical or scientific you might want to say like the rest of the scenes are. I just think that because of like the machinery and the other like aspects of like the superpowers and things like that, the fate of the world being completely on the line, it just plays a little bit better, I think, in modern times or in future. Pal, what say you?
I'm exactly on board with you, where it's like these things feel out of place, but at the same time, since we do have the Avenger movies also at play, what the movie's also doing is telling a story within a story with the Tesseract, right? Kind of introducing that into us. So that's kind of how we're able to get somewhat futuristic weapons because it does come from an alien time. And you already kind of know because you've already seen it in other movies, like what kind of power it has. So it or yeah, and they they have to kind of throw that in there. So they, I think, when it comes to kind of the futuristic stuff, that's why they kind of have that evil genius guy who kind of seems ahead of his time, right? What's his name?
Dr. Zola,
Dr. Zola. Man,
which which with
what a
with
great
Dr.
casting for
Zola,
an evil genius.
yeah, with Dr. Zola and with Dr. Erskine, we actually get some repeat customers, some of our regular customers back because they were both in the Hunger Games that we did. They were the
Oh,
announcers in
oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rubble 1 and Rubble 2.
Rubble 1 and Rubble 2. Oh, and speaking of, we actually have a third one. Natalie Dormer, who played Cressida in the Mockingjays that we did a long time ago. She's in this one. She's the private who kisses Captain America in front
Hmm.
of Peggy Carter. So how about that?
Would you look at that? The more the merrier.
Shout out women.
Hmm.
Yeah, shout out women. Love you.
Look, speaking of women, you know, Haley Atwell, terrific job. Love the costume design. You look gorgeous. All right, but did anybody else the entire movie just kept going? That is not Kate Beckinsale.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does
Oh yeah.
anybody else do that where you say that that's not this because you're saying what you're really saying is like, oh, doppelganger, like you you,
Yeah.
you look so much alike, but that
Exactly.
not Kate Beckinsale.
Nope.
Every time,
Zagak.
every time I see the movie, all I can think.
We'll get into one more of my not this person in a little bit, but does this film feel more like a war movie or a superhero movie?
It feels like a more like a war movie, which is why I think this one stands out to me more than the other like Avenger movies in this in the first, especially the first couple iterations of the MCU, like whatever phases or whatever you want to, whatever they're called. I felt like this one just actually felt like it was. I think it felt more real because it took place at least somewhat like in real life because there was actually a World War II versus like everything else from this like movie kind of onward is sort of somewhat completely made up, but some like in some basis in reality or like our reality.
It does feel more like a war movie, but what makes it cool, and to be candid, like I'm not a big comic reader. All right, so I don't know if there were comics kind of talking about his origin story. I'm sure there were. But I remember watching some of the X-Men cartoons where they kind of had a crossover with Captain America. And anytime I've seen Captain America, it's always been through like the modern lens, and you kind of have flashbacks of his origin story. So I think actually having the authentic story of him back, like fighting in World War II, it would have been cool if they had Wolverine out there with him, because that's kind of what they did in X-Men, where he flashed back and Wolverine was there because how he's bounced around. We know he was in Japan, right, when the nukes went off. So, um, anyways, I'm a big fan of how they made it a war movie, not so much a superhero movie. And
Yeah,
like giving him all these missions, all these different things just really added a cool element of excitement. And it's like, yeah, that's what Captain America did. That's where his lore comes from. That's what the stories that were told about him in the comics when, people look back on him before he's revived, right? So I think just from this angle, this is when, I mean, honestly, you want to talk about being in your bag and you want to talk about being in your prime, kind of how we talked about like Will Ferrell in his prime. This is when Marvel was just like hit after hit after hit, like the way they were producing these movies, the vision that they had overall, the writing that they had like intertwined, making sure that it worked with the overall story of the Avengers going through all of these movies was very, very well done. And it was just an excellent origin story because then you can sprinkle in the Starks, then you can sprinkle in the Tesseract. You have all these little nuggets, all these Stan Van Gundy nuggets, thrown in here. And I just thought it was a really good job. I really like that they kept it in that historic space as opposed to like some of the other ones where it's just flashbacks.
well, would the film be more interesting if it had leaned harder into kind of real world history, or is it just interesting enough on its own?
I think it's interesting enough on its own. I don't think that
Same note too. I'm on the latter part. Yeah.
I
Okay.
just didn't. I feel like we have enough of like enough knowledge of Americans killing Nazis and without necessarily needing anything more to add to that versus adding more to what the eventual plot line of like the Avengers movies would sort of become, right? Like so I think advancing that storyline is a little bit more important than doing more like actual historically accurate things. It is a superhero movie after all, right?
Yeah. Well, superheroes aren't complete unless they have a villain. So is the Red Skull an underrated MCU villain?
Where would we rate him? I don't know. I feel like he's pretty. He's exactly where Captain America needed to be or to face at that point. You know what I mean? Like he was. I think he's properly rated. I don't think he was too OP for anything, but I also think like his powers were kind of strong enough considering that not spoiler alert, but he was injected with basically the same serum that Captain America was injected with. So I think it's basically on par fight for where he was in his life at that point, right?
Properly rated.
Look terrifying as hell. I'm happy with the job that they did. But I would, I could always use more of Red Skull. I thought he was a decent villain. Not saying he's like, like all villain, making the all villain team, but like, maybe like, he has potential to win like a six man of the year award. No doubt.
Well, why do you think that Marvel never really brought him back in a meaningful way after this movie? Obviously, he's in, Infinity War and Endgame, but nothing really made it past this.
I think you have to walk a fine line when you have, like kind of linking, this villain to Nazism and whatnot. He also just looked scary as hell. So maybe they were like getting feedback from like, people with kids that like he was a little much in that sense. Because he does come back in Endgame, correct? If I'm not mistaken. And I believe like he kind of has like a hood on in that one because he's like he's a part of that like world where Thanos like ends up like sacrificing, spoiler alert, his daughter.
Yeah, he's like the keeper of like one of the areas, I think, or like one
What
of the
is it? The
stones.
Soul Stone, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I think he becomes the keeper of that stone briefly.
But like, what? Where's the backstory on that? How? I mean, he's just gets shot up into space after he grabs the Tesseract, and then he shows up, 10 years later.
Yep.
Yeah, I
You know,
guess. You know,
that's a
and
that's a
Like,
well,
I think it was a little bit of a waste of
and
as a
Hugo
in some
Weaving.
in
Levitard
a little bit of a hell world.
affiliated podcast, thank you, Billy, for giving
Thank
us
you,
the old
Billy.
that's a story for another day.
What
Thank you,
was
Billy.
Hugo Weaving having, really a lot of fun with this role, or did he just seem kind of trapped with the makeup and CGI?
Uh, I'm gonna say based on other roles that he was in and kind of considering what he was, doing, it's kind of like when you have a James Harden in the regular season, right? Where it's like he can go through the motions and give you 25 a night, 8 assists. Like he knows what to do to kind of do that. But when it's like, okay, like time to show up to the moment, like, he really didn't leave me feeling much. It's like I think it's not a situation where it's like, okay, could you see anybody else playing this role? Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see a few people playing this role. I think Michael Fassbender would be a terrifying Red Skull, but again, I don't like, he's already Magneto, so it's like chill, right?
Well, and he was also kind of around during that time. I mean, yeah, he was in an internment camp as what a 10-year-old kid. So
mm-hmm,
I don't think you can really have him
mm-mm,
play both of those roles. So I get where you're going.
yeah, I
Patty, how say
mean,
you? Do you think he was having fun in the role, or was he just kind of trapped under the makeup and CGI?
I think what Pat was kind of saying there, I think is a good way to explain it in terms of like baseball is like a good 3 or 4 number like starter, like you're like a number 3 or 4 guy that you can go out there, you can trust him to go out and get at least 6 innings. He's going to go out and eat some innings for you, save a bullpen day for you. Let your guys get some rest. You can trust him to go out and maybe your starter got hurt in the second inning. Oh, you need a guy to go out there and eat 5 innings for you cold. Oh, this guy can hop up there, go up there, throw it 92 for 5 innings, and you're going to be fine. He's going to give up 4 runs if he's left to his own devices too long, but if you use him in the right spots, I think that he could really excel. But so I think that he was kind of trapped a little bit in the CGI and in the makeup in this one. But I think he was ultimately just kind of left to his own devices with nobody else other to like look at on screen for too long.
So he was like a Shane Bieber or like an Orlando Hernandez, El Duque.
And El Duque.
Yeah, I buy that. Who's the MVP of the supporting cast? So you have, Colonel Phillips. You have, Bucky Barnes. You have, the Howling Commandos. Who's the MVP of the supporting cast?
well, that's where like for our friend Hugo here, like, great actor and everything, but I think that's where the disappointing part comes in, right? Because it's like Okay, like you're being outshined by Tommy Lee Jones. You're being outshined by Stanley Tucci. For me, it's Stanley Tucci.
Hmm.
Okay.
The Tooch.
Um the Tooch, man, he's got the magic Tooch. Okay. When it comes to these kind of things. You know, he really Tooched me. In any role that he's typically in. But right when he comes on screen, I got he gets the Greg Cody treatment from me where I just have a smile immediately. But that's what I'm going for. If I'm going for MVP of side characters, it's gonna be one, Stanley Tucci.
I respect that choice. It certainly felt certainly feels vindicated with your explanation there. But for me, it's got to be Tommy Lee Jones. I mean,
Okay.
it's got to be Colonel Phillips. He's every time he's on screen, he's on screen just long enough to make like a one liner or to bitch somebody out, and it's every time it's just perfect. It's exactly who he plays in every single character that he ever has played. Every character Tommy Lee Jones plays is just a different version of Tommy Lee Jones. So
Yeah.
I think that I don't think he's really trying too hard to play into a character versus just kind of going in and being himself. So I think it every time he gets the Greg Cody treatment for me, where every time he's on screen, I just automatically smile and probably give him too many laughs. But yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is as Colonel Chester Phillips is my MVP of the side characters for this one. Beep, what
Yeah.
say you?
Tommy Lee Jones is definitely typecast as Tommy Lee Jones. I need a Tommy Lee Jones type character. Is Tommy Lee working? Let's get him. So for me, my MVP is going to be Dum Dum Duggan, who I called Mustachioed, not Chris Cody. That was that was my guy.
Now, for people who might want to
I
be
like them too.
critical and say, well, pal, you said that, Hugo is going through the motions, yet here's Tommy Lee Jones being typecast as Tommy Lee Jones, and it's a different situation, right? Where Hugo is doing like the James Harden regular season kind of motion. Tommy Lee Jones is like Kareem in the playoffs with the hook shot, right? Where it's just like, okay, like when he puts things in motion, it's like good luck stopping that. Nobody's been able to do that for 20 years.
Exactly. Tommy Lee Jones is like the Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. He's just gonna close out that fourth quarter. Every time you need an end to a scene, just give it to Tommy Lee. Just give the ball to Tommy Lee. He's gonna hit that three as the clock expires. It's every time automatic.
Does Bucky get enough development before his later MCU importance?
Not at all. No,
I
not at
agree.
all.
Yeah.
Like when I because I only really watched the movies and I missed like one or two here and there like as like the Avengers were coming out and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Bucky's like really important. Oh, okay, and then I missed the next 6 years of whatever Marvel movies that were coming out because I was in college and stuff, and then all of a sudden Thunderbolts is coming out and I'm like, well, okay, I guess Bucky's important enough to lead his own team now. So I guess I'll go watch that and see how important he is. And then I'm like, oh, he's a congressman now. All right. So I no, not at all. And also I don't really think it's explained well enough leading up to then like how he actually ends up like surviving ultimately like through as long as as long as Chris Evans character and as Captain America does.
Pal, how about you?
So, what was the question again, one more time?
Does Bucky get enough development before his later MCU importance?
Mm, I'm gonna say, while he does not get like a whole ton, you get the important parts. You get that this was someone who had it all and never looked down on Steve Rogers when he was CGI Rogers, right?
Hmm.
And this was somebody who was like a real, and that's how you know he was a real friend. It wasn't because of these changes, right? You're getting all this attention from women, like all these men want to hang out with you now, or drink with you, or be with you because you're cool, you're Captain America. But this person thought you were cool as Steve Rogers, right? And that's an important nugget because when we're talking about the story within the story, right? He's gonna play a pivotal role in later franchises. It's why you don't need Red Skull necessarily as the villain to come back later on for Captain America. But one of the best movies in the Marvel universe is Captain America Civil War. Okay, and he's very pivotal to that. So I think that what they give you is perfect because when they kind of give you that shock and awe in later on in later movies, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's planning on watching it after this. Okay. It's necessary to not give you a whole lot because it really does. You're really like, oh shit, I totally forgot about this guy. You're thinking
Yeah.
about who it could be this whole time, and when you realize who it is, okay, you're like, okay, well, all I really know about him is this, and that's why it's important.
And I think that the beginning of his, kind of brainwashing actually starts to happen in this movie when, Steve Rogers, finds him at that base. He's kind of repeating some numbers over and over again. He's strapped to a table. I think that is the beginning of his indoctrination into, Hydra. So
They must have had Stan Van Gundy on this writing staff. Just nugget after nugget after nugget they're leaving you.
I
You
know.
know?
So I want to circle back a little bit here to our boy Tommy Lee Jones. What is his best moment in this movie?
Oh, it easily for me. This has to be the scene, the final the chase scene where the three of them are in the car chasing down the plane, and he as Steve Rogers is getting ready to jump up, he gets pulled down, he gets kissed by Peggy Carter, and then he kind of like makes a direct eye contact with Tommy Lee, and he goes, "Well, I'm not gonna kiss you." Cuts at
Yeah,
him just cutting the brakes, drifting, pulling a full Vin Diesel, and just by the edge of the teeth right there, they end up
yeah,
surviving.
yeah. I didn't know that they had Nos back in 1943. Yeah. Pal, what about you? What was Tommy Lee Jones's best moment of this movie?
I just like that you know, he as stern as he is, you really bought in when he was looking at CGI Roberts and was just like, you know why this is our guy? Corazon, right? He's got heart. Okay? There we go, right there. And then as Tommy Lee Jones said, he was like freaking, you know,
It's 90
goddamn
pounds.
American icon, recognized goddamn American icon.
But he's still skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
CGI
for
Roberts.
me, it would be when he's in the interrogation with Dr. Zola, and he gets asked, well, what's in it? Cow. I I died. I died.
Like I bought you
What?
dinner.
Yeah, I bought you dinner. What more do you want from me, Zola? If you were going to form your own Howling Commandos, which two movie characters from any film are joining your squad?
Like any film, like in the MCU, or just any
Any
film.
No.
film in the history of film, you're forming your own Howling Commandos.
Can we
Which
do
which two characters are you choosing?
can we do the cinema universe? Like picking movies specifically from the movies that we've covered recently?
Okay, okay.
What say you?
Okay.
Keeper.
I well, how about this?
Or did you already
Because
have people in mind? Is that
well,
why?
eh, a little bit, but we don't really have a big catalog as of the recording
As
of
of
this
right
one.
now.
So I'm
Okay.
going to open it up
True.
to all of our Cinemeh, right? So that's going to
All of
be
it.
like 25, 26, something, 28 movies at this point. I don't know.
Okay. All right. It's funny. It's funny because I want to keep saying Vin Diesel, but I don't think we've covered a Fast movie. Oh, we did. We
Well,
did.
we
Actually, wait, we
did.
did.
Yes, we
We
have. Yes,
did.
we did.
We
Yes, we did.
did. Okay.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna start this off then. Vin Diesel. Okay. And why can't I remember her name right now? Book from Hocus Pocus. Um, freaking. Why can't I? Sorry, guys. I've
This
been
is great for the listening audience.
Yeah, I've been teaching economics all day, so it's just 6.5 hours of it, which is just fascinating. We all love that. Bette Midler, Winifred. Sorry, I want Winifred on my squad, right? Bring the
Okay.
book of spells. Let's hex some people. We can fly around. You can make me fly. Okay, I'll be a talking cat for all of eternity. Why not? What the hell? What do I got to lose? All right. I'll look my, never mind. But yeah, that's my. If you were talking about two people that you could form your own squad with, Vin Diesel and Winifred, from Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
I like it. I like it. I think I'm gonna go from I'm gonna pick from the same movie right off the rip, but I'm not gonna pick Vin Diesel. I'm gonna go with Han. I'm gonna go with Han because I do want somebody that can really get us out of a sticky situation if needed, and somebody that could also potentially just whip us in, drop us off if really if needed. But at the end of the day, ultimately Han's there for his snacks and his vibes and his driving. Um,
Has to be an excellent wingman. You know
oh
the women
yes.
flock to him, so you know at the very least, like in between missions, you're having a good time.
And then number two, I'm gonna have to go with Alice from Step Brothers, Catherine Hahn,
Okay.
because you're gonna need some espionage. You're gonna need somebody that's gonna be able to go into bars, be a ditzy American, figure some things out while the other people are just completely unaware, right? Those that you're trying to get the information from. Catherine Hahn coming up to you in the bathroom, trying to tell you to stay golden pony boy might get a little bit more information out than I think some other characters that we've covered.
Stay golden, pony boy.
So I think you guys are sleeping on arguably the
Oh,
best that we've had so far. It's freaking Wolverine. The dude doesn't die.
yeah.
Got claws.
But in that movie, he's close to dying.
But did he die?
No, true.
He didn't.
That's a
And
good
I'm going to
point.
go back to Cinemeh 1.0, and I'm going to go with a true American hero, a true American icon.
I'm a goddamn American icon.
It's Rocky Balboa from Rocky 4.
Punching Nazis, punching Red Skulls,
Punching Red Skulls right in the face.
punching Hydra.
I mean,
You guys played this game wildly differently than I did.
you're not going to find you're not going to find a better duo than Wolverine and Rocky Balboa. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. Audience, how about you out there tell us who you are picking for your Howling Commandos?
Hey, yo. Andy.
How would you feel
Let
if
us
you
know.
how would you react if you woke up 70 years in the future?
Oh, that would be that would just be awful. Like just waking up and knowing that most of the people that you've ever known are probably not there anymore. Especially, he was at least 25. We'll call him 25 right there at like minimum when he goes into the ice, right? So at best, he's then 100 years old, right? Like he's 95, 100 years old. I think that's that's gonna have to take way more getting used to and therapy than I think would probably be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like 70 years and you wake up like around now or within the last 20 years and then waking up 70 years from now. Okay? In which case, no, I'm not down. Because like 70 years from now, we're not gonna have like oil left. Like we're really like we're gonna be very limited on certain resources, right? And it's like I think we're underestimating how rapidly the earth is deteriorating, like falling apart too. So I just have no interest in like, oh, 7 years in the future. Okay, well, I'm in California again because that's where I live to begin with. What do you mean like 110 degrees during the summer, 120 degrees during the summer is like the new normal? Ew. No.
Do you want to try that word again? Deteriorating? You want to try that one again?
No.
Ew.
I was
No.
Ew. I was about to say the same thing, Patrick. Ew. No. Deterio.
All right.
Going to
Let's get
deteriorate.
into our Femeke. If you're new to this game, it's just like, F Mary Kill, but we have Femeke. Who wants to lead us off in Femeke? Patty or Pal? Or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you lead it off for us? You haven't led one off yet, at
Okay.
least this episode.
Get one off,
Okay.
Pete.
So my
And
fe is, and this is, the F. My fe is going to be mustachioed Chris Cody. Love that dude. Dum Duggan. And he gets to wear a bowler hat with his insignia on it. I'm for it. I'm for it. My Mary is going to be Tommy Lee Jones, Colonel Phillips. You got to have it. He brings you steak, brings you a nice little steak dinner. I mean, yeah, he may eat it, but at least he brought it. He brought you dinner.
well, he
And then
wasn't eating it.
Yeah, exactly. And then my cat. I mean, anyone from Hydra. I mean, once you have that, kind of Nazi affiliation, get out of here.
Yeah, kick rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Patty, how say you?
Yeah, for my fit, I think I think I'm gonna have to take I'm gonna have to take Captain America. I mean, I once he gets out of CGI Steve,
That's the easy route though, man.
well, I mean, fine. If you want me to not take the easy route, then
You
I'm
can
gonna
take it.
take.
I want you to acknowledge that it is the easy route.
Well, you know what? Sometimes the easy route is the correct route. All right, and
Okay.
maybe you ever consider that?
Yeah,
Yes, I
sometimes
did consider it, and that's why I went against it.
that's the thing about your feh, right? It's sometimes it's not that difficult to think about. If you have the opportunity to feh, right, and it's Chris Evans, you feh.
Fair enough. All right,
Exactly. If it's Chris
Pat,
Evans, you fair.
Patty, I made my own list. Continue with yours.
And my man is also going to be Tommy Lee Jones, though. So
Okay.
we park our garage or
In the
park
same
our
car?
cars in the same
Yeah,
garage.
we park our garage in the same car.
And then my cat is it's gonna have to be Stanley Tucci. I hated his German accent the entire time.
Whoa.
It was very distracting. I thought he himself was pretty entertaining as the character, but I did think that the accent was pretty over the top.
Okay.
And I stand by it.
Well, we're going to come back to that in the trivia here in a little bit. How say you? What's your femme cat?
Disrespectful. It's a goddamn American icon playing German. Okay. My feh is gonna be Miss Haley Atwell, one Peggy Carter. Okay, because not Kate Beckinsale. My meh is going to be Stanley Tucci because I just can't just enjoy the ride once. Okay. This is something that like I want to be bonded with for life here. All right. And I love the German accent. Give me Saint like it amused me. It made me laugh. Okay. It's that quality where it's like it's so bad that it's funny. And I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, the
We
content
remember
that
Con
we
Air.
yeah, yeah, you know, in my speech and my pronunciations deteriorating, right? So we have all that going on too. Okay. Um,
Same note too.
but my meh is gonna be one Stanley Tucci, and then my cat Hugo, baby, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like I forgot he was in Lord of the Rings. Like I thought those are two completely different actors. And I was like, dude, Mr. Anderson. Where's that level? Okay? If we were talking about like, in like ass if you want to talk about ass off being like Hank Hill being a 10, okay? He's somewhere in the area of, oh, that guy hikes like maybe twice a week. Okay? He's got some ass on him. All right? So that's my cat.
He squats for sure. Did we miss
Yeah.
anything? Did we miss anything to talk about?
Well, the movie ends, right? So let's talk about the ending of the movie.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk about the end
Okay.
post credit stuff.
Because it is essential, right? It's setting up like it's another puzzle piece to the Avengers. Okay, and you already kind of have an idea at this point of kind of some of these the Tesseract or what are they called? The stones, the Infinity Stones. Okay, so
Yeah.
you already kind of know where that's going, but you're kind of wondering, all right, but it got buried. It got buried. Like what happens to it next? right? Like
Like who
we're
got to it?
yeah, who got to it? Um, but that's the only thing we really have to discuss. I think it was vital. I think they ended it in a very a good way, right? And then even the post credits were good, right? He wakes up and he's like, okay, and they have this whole set put together, and then he realizes like, oh, it's just a set, and then black, boom, perfect. Bring in Samuel L. Jackson, get him on the credits. Where's Nick Fury? Where's his eye?
Cut to a trailer promoting the Avengers movie coming up shortly after this one came out.
Yeah,
Soon.
what? Less than a year after this one came out, the Avengers. Yeah. Does the ending still hit emotionally after all these years, or is it just kind of whatever?
Yeah, I think it does. Like even knowing like what happens to Chris Evans' version of Captain America, I guess like at the end of like that character's sequence, I think it is. I think it is still touching to kind of think about like, whoa, what the hell would happen if I woke up 70 years from now? You know what I mean? I think it would be pretty life altering if you even survived it, let alone waking up and being the exact same age, size, like you know eight weight, size, look the exact same, but everybody else that you is like 70, is actually 70 years older.
This is one of those had to be there situations. Okay. And you really had these movies are made just that much more special if you saw them happen in real time. So it's like I remember seeing this movie in the theaters in real time. So it's like when you're talking about like, does it, that part of it still hold up? It does because you're able to tap back into what it felt like, right? When you first experienced it. Whereas I think if you're somebody who, were to watch this movie for the first time, you may not necessarily have that, right? Because there's something to the fact that you waited for each of these Avenger movies to digest, okay, up until the next one, where it holds a lot more meaning. Having that patience, waiting for each one to release to know what's next, as opposed to okay, I'm gonna go on a binge, okay, where you're gonna forget things a lot easier because they didn't digest as long, you know.
Right. Is Peggy and Steve's Miss Dance one of the best emotional moments from the MCU?
Tell you what, Chris Evans, not Kate Beckinsale. That's a good looking couple. So it's
You heard it
disaster.
here first. Good looking
Mm-hmm.
couple.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest what ifs. It's a shame. It's a shame because it's just like those two right there. You know,
It's a good looking couple.
it's a Kodak moment right there in real time.
All right, let's get into some trivia here. So as we talked a little bit before, cameo appearances were originally planned for Wolverine and Magneto, who were present during World War II. At that time, Logan was a soldier. Lyncher was in an internment camp. However, these cameos are scrapped due to rights issues. As a result of the Disney-Fox merger of 2019, Marvel Studios now owns the rights to the X-Men characters. Chris Evans did not have to audition for the role of Steve Rogers, since the filmmakers were desperate to have him play the part. But this next one doesn't really make a lot of sense because he was only paid $300,000 for the title role. So they didn't want him that much, but
Maybe
I don't know.
he worked in some of the box office.
Yeah, he probably had to take a huge back end on this one.
Hey yo,
Hey, yo.
that's
To prepare for
America's
his role
ass.
as Bucky, Sebastian Stan watched many World War II films and documentaries and drew inspiration from Band of Brothers. Hugo Weaving based Red Skull's accent on renowned German filmmaker Werner Herzog and Austrian actor Klaus Maria Brandauer. And finally, Stanley Tucci took the role of Dr. Erskine because the role enabled him to use a German accent, which he had always wanted to do. So, boo on you, Paddy, because that's something that he always wanted to do, and he did it well. So,
And I felt
Well,
that he
I'm
did a very good job, Patty. It's a shame you didn't.
schnapps.
I do have one more piece of trivia because we did mention, or at least Pal mentioned, how much he hates uh characters or actors playing multiple like comic book characters or superheroes. And
Mm-hmm.
this is actually the sixth comic book movie after Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Push in 2009, The Losers in 2010, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World in 2010 as well. He also voiced Casey Jones in TMNT 2007, which also based on a comic book. So
Um,
you must, but how do you feel about him as Chris or as Captain America?
who? Chris
Chris
Evans?
Evans.
Love him.
Yeah, because he was also in all of those movies too.
Well, like I said, he did such a good job as Captain America that I was like, okay, you made a believer out of me, right? Like, he really did a good job. By the end of it, I was just like, no, he is. And then when he's able to kind of fast forward in time and be at peace, and you kind of have that subplot in it where it's just like this is someone who's deeply saddened and depressed by the fact that they're not able to live a normal life. As super as it is, it's not that super for him. So I always like that. But gentlemen, I have top 10 2011 pop culture moments if you want them.
I'm
Hit
for it.
us.
Okay. They're not really movie related except for a couple, but at number 10, do we have a laugh or do we have a sound or do you want me to do the Barrett laugh?
Do the Barrett laugh. That'll be our ta-da.
I like
All
that.
right. So, at 10, I have the death of Amy Winehouse.
Jesus, I don't know if you want to start with that.
I don't know if we want to have the laugh with the death of Amy Winehouse, but you know what? I'll allow it.
Steve Jobs
That's a
passes
play on.
at number 9. Steve Jobs passes away.
Oh
At
boy.
8, Adele conquers the charts with 21. All right. She also had massive hits like Rolling in the Deep and Someone Like You. The hit film Bridesmaids rewrites the comedy rulebook with an all-woman led raunchy comedy.
Shout out women.
At number 6, we get the premiere of Game of Thrones. Number 5, we have Charlie Sheen's winning meltdown.
I'm a goddamn American icon.
At, no, at number 4, we have Kim Kardashian's 72-day marriage to the NBA player Chris Humphries, which also resulted simultaneously in the best play in his career. Lamar Odom also won a Sixth Man of the Year when he was with Khloe Kardashian, and James Harden won his MVPs when he was with Khloe Kardashian. So, do they make them worse or better? That's a discussion for another time.
Beep clip Stephen A. Smith.
All right. At number 3, we get the end of Harry Potter. Number 2 was the royal wedding. The first one with William and Kate. And at number 1, the top 2011 consensus number 1, because I saw this across other lists as well. Beyonce's wedding pregnancy at the VMAs. Okay, so that's our top 10 pop culture moments.
It was an amazing choice
Started
to
off a
start
little,
that off.
a little
with
weird, but
two
I think the laugh
deaths
came in.
and the laugh.
Yeah.
That was pretty terrific. I have to say.
Should have thought of that, hindsight.
I like how you asked before, and you also made the list.
You knew what was coming up first, and okay. You know what?
That was such a choice. Not intentional, I don't think, but that was certainly
It's tough being a goddamn American icon.
Salute Charlie Sheen.
Salute to Amy Winehouse.
All right, let's get into our ratings here before we get totally canceled here for laughing on the deaths of two cultural icons. Pal, you had this one. I'll let you go first. Again, just to refresh the audience there. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I'll watch it every time. Meh, it's just okay. I might not see it again. And then get all the way the hell out of here with this movie. So, pal, how say you?
surprisingly, this movie's, I mean, I guess I could say surprisingly, I've been yaying everything, I'm like Usher over here. Yeah, 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 right. But it's another yeah for me. And I'm a big fan of the Captain America side of the Avengers movies. And like I said, it's not because he's like overly patriotic. It's the character development itself, right? It is kind of a drama in the sad in a sadder part of the Avengers, I would say. You do have your humor in there, but it is interesting because the way they're able to kind of, make you feel for the guy. But it's a yeah for me. I don't think it gets talked enough. It's not it's one of the better Avenger movies, and then the two movies that follow it are actually because I think it goes, is it Winter Soldier and then Civil War,
That
right?
that sounds that sounds about
Those
right.
are the Captain America movies. They get better every
Yeah.
movie. And you
Oh,
don't typically
absolutely.
see that with the sequel and then the third one. I mean, Iron Man was the creme de la creme. It was the first Avenger. He was the first Avenger in the sense that that was the first Avenger movie that came out. Okay, and then Iron Man 2 was really good, and then Iron Man 3 just took such a big dump, right? Huge pooper. Okay, it was just like it take a QK, dancing swords, and just everywhere. Just pooped everywhere. But when it comes to this one, it's a yeah. Patty?
It's a yeah for me as well. I like this. I like this movie a lot. And just to build off everything that Pal was saying, just it is a fantastic start of a trilogy. I think that Pal was absolutely right with the first two Iron Man movies were fantastic, and then the third one just took a giant QK. It was like if a movie had dancing swords for writing and just an overall story arc. It was that movie is one of the worst of the Avengers movies, but this is easily one of the best. I think that the Captain America trilogy gets stronger and stronger at each movie. And especially if you include like their storyline or the Captain America storyline into the Avengers storylines, and then what takes place from there into from the story that takes place into their following, like into the next Captain America, into the next Avenger movie, into the final Captain America and stuff like that.
Iron Man 3 has a 7.1 IMDb and a 79% critic score and a 78% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
People
That
love
that
RDJ.
all those
People love
people
him.
What is wrong with America?
that
People love
all of
Robert
them.
Downey Jr. I don't know
That's
what
it.
to say.
You know what? Scrap this whole podcast. 4th of July is canceled. What is that?
Well, it's going to be a clean sweep here. It's going to be a yeah from me, but we do need to go to VAR real quick. There has been a challenge put out there. The laugh at the two deaths of Steve Jobs and Amy Winehouse. You've been given a red card. Sorry to
Oh
say,
no!
you are being sent off. Yeah, sent off.
But he's the host. Ah, dang. Well,
Yeah,
it was a fun
looks like
show.
looks like it's just us now.
It was a fun show, Beep. I
Yep.
I had a good time talking with you.
I had a great time as well until we started laughing at the deaths of two very important people in the history of the world.
God, that was so funny.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that wasn't on us. So
Yeah, that's all right. He got a red card. He's out for the rest of this show, but
yeah,
might be
just the
back.
rest
Might
of the
have
show.
to miss. Might be back in the first half or second half of the next show. We'll see. We'll see how the rules
It's
end
just
up.
the rest of this match ban. He's free to come back after the next one or after this one, I guess. Which, speaking of, do we need to figure out what movie we're doing next?
No, I gotcha. It's a newer one, so I think it'll be more exciting since it'll be a first watch. I think for all of us. What do you know about Channing Tatum, Beep, and that Roofman?
The Roofman.
The Roofman, 2025 on Paramount Plus, or also looks like on Amazon Prime. And possibly a rental purchase for I think $5.99. It looks like in US, not in Canada. I also don't know what the runtime would be in either right now.
We'll figure that out. But the next one is going to be Roof Man. This was a really fun one. I love this movie. I love doing this podcast. Pal,
Me too.
welcome back.
That's a roof, man.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us on this 4th of July episode of Cinemeh. This has been at Beep Count on Twitter. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-rate, re-review, download, like, all of the good things. Like our buddy Rocky says, he doesn't know all the good things. But I want to thank you all for joining us, and we can do this all day. We'll see you next time.